So the tax office calls. It's one of those things that can really be stressful, right? But what if I told you that you don't have to face them alone? Today, we're going to dig into a really important question. Who's legally allowed to speak for you in tax matters here in Bangladesh? And trust me, the answer is probably a lot broader than you think.
Just picture this for a second. You get that official-looking envelope. You know the one. It's a notice from an income tax authority, and they're summoning you for some kind of proceeding. Yeah, for most of us, that's pretty intimidating. Your mind probably jumps straight to, okay, what do I do now? Am I really on my own here?
Well, before you start to worry, you absolutely need to know this. The law actually gives you a built-in support system. Just understanding what your options are, that's the first huge step to handling this whole thing with a lot more confidence. And this is the big one, the fundamental right we're talking about. The law is really clear. If you're required to appear before an income tax authority, you can do it through a representative. Now, there's one little exception. That's if the notice specifically demands your personal attendance. But the key takeaway here, you don't have to go it alone. So, what do we call this person? The official term is an authorized representative. Think of them as your designated ally, someone legally recognized to help you navigate the whole process. So, the big question is, who can actually be your authorized representative? Let's jump into that. All right, so let's get specific. What is an authorized representative? It's pretty straightforward. It's any person you authorize, and this part is key, in writing to show up for you. And I can't stress that in writing part enough. That's what makes it official. It's what makes it legally binding. This isn't just some casual handshake agreement. Okay, so the law basically gives you three main groups of people to choose from. First step, you can authorize a close family member. We're talking a parent, your spouse, a sibling, or one of your kids. The second option, you could appoint a full-time regular employee from your business. And then, of course, for that professional firepower, you have the tax lawyer. Now, that term, tax lawyer, it can be a little misleading, you know? It doesn't just mean a lawyer in the way we usually think of one. It's actually a pretty broad category that covers a whole range of super qualified professionals. So let's take a closer look and see exactly who fits the bill. And you know, the diversity of expertise here is actually fascinating. I mean, of course, you've got your registered advocates from the Bar Council. That makes sense. But check this out. You also have practicing chartered accountants who know your finances inside and out. And get this, even former senior tax officials who have this incredible, unique understanding of how the system works from the inside. This huge range of options gives you so much flexibility. Let's zoom in on that former senior income tax authority option for a second. To qualify, it's not just anyone. An individual has to have at least 5 years of service under their belt, and they had to have reached the rank of Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. It's a pretty specific requirement, and it's there for a reason. It ensures they're bringing a really deep, practical understanding of the tax system right to your side. And I think it's really worth highlighting the role of accountants here, too. The law explicitly names a practicing chartered accountant as a qualified tax lawyer. And when you think about it, that makes perfect sense, right? I mean, these are the professionals who are usually the most familiar with all the tiny, intricate details of a person's or a company's financial records. Okay, so you've got all these different professionals who can represent you. But how do you make sure they're actually accountable? How do we know they're sticking to certain standards? Well, it's not a free-for-all. The system is actually really carefully regulated, and that's to protect taxpayers, you, and to maintain a high level of professionalism. So the first layer of regulation is all about mandatory membership. Every single tax lawyer has to belong to a taxes bar association, and it doesn't stop there. That association itself has to be registered with the government's tax authority, which is the National Board of Revenue, or what you'll often hear called just the board. So this really breaks down the two key players in the whole regulatory system. On one side, you've got the taxes bar associations. These are the professional groups that the tax lawyers have to join. But on the other side, the ultimate authority is the government's tax board. They're the ones setting the rules, registering the bars, and they have the final say on who gets to be certified. It's this two-tiered system that ensures you get both professional accountability and government oversight. And believe me, the tax board's power to regulate is pretty extensive. They create the rule book for just about everything. How you get and lose a certificate, a professional code of conduct they all have to follow, and even what happens with disciplinary actions. All of this ensures there's a formal process for accountability. And at the end of the day, it's all designed to protect you, the taxpayer. All right, we've gone through a lot of information there. So let's kind of boil it all down to the key takeaways, the things you really need to remember. This is what all of this really means for you when it comes down to it. So what's the bottom line here for you? First, you do not have to face the tax office alone. That's your right. Second, you can appoint someone you trust, like a close family member or a trusted employee. Third, if you need expert help, a tax lawyer isn't just one thing. It can be an accountant, an advocate, or another qualified pro. And finally, you can have peace of mind knowing the whole system is regulated to make sure professional standards are met. So let's just end with this thought. Knowing you have all these options, from the personal trust of a family member all the way to the deep expertise of a professional, that completely changes the dynamic, doesn't it? It's really all about empowerment. So now that you know your rights, the question is,